Helping your child choose the right college can literally make the difference between them graduating or not, them having job opportunities or not, and it can make a huge difference in how much debt they're taking on for college, or if you're paying for it, what you're paying for, how many scholarships they have to get. So this decision, what college they will attend, is going to make a huge difference on really the rest of their life. Now, this doesn't mean we have to go to the elite ones or the most expensive ones. I'll talk more about this, but we do have to find the right fit. I'm going to explain what that means in just a moment. So in today's video, I want to talk about some key factors in choosing the right college fit for your child. Now make sure you hit subscribe because every week we have a new strategy for your family to work towards that debt-free degree. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System and Debt-Free Degree Lab, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures rather than ones where their student is buried in debt for decades to come. Now, just a quick note, this is for U.S. citizens and permanent residents. We do not specialize in international students. So when it comes to choosing colleges, a lot of families do personal fit, then academic fit, and then financial fit. We recommend flipping this upside down. So what we want to do is first see if there are schools that weren't even on our radar, but could be a great financial fit. Then, do they have our programs? Is it an academic fit? And lastly, is it a personal fit? Why? Well, because believe it or not, students have found schools that they didn't even think would be possible financially by doing it this way. So that opened up ones that they would love to go to, but didn't think that it was possible. And also on the other side, it opened up schools that they weren't even aware of. And then when they went on a tour, they fell in love with the school. So by just going to the ones that other students go to in the area, or the most common ones that we know of, or just kind of picking a few that we're familiar with without doing any kind of financial research, can really limit our chances of getting a debt-free degree, but also finding possibly the best fit for your student. So let's go ahead and dive into specific factors. So like I said, first and foremost, for us, we think cost and financial aid needs to be top of the list. We don't believe that the name on the undergraduate degree is that important. It's certainly not worth decades of debt over a debt-free degree. There are plenty of incredible institutions that will probably offer your student money. So this is where we want to compare tuition, fees, room and board. How do they handle scholarships, scholarship stacking? Where does your student measure up against the rest of the student body? Does that increase their chances of getting merit aid from the school or financial aid from the school? Many schools have something called the net price calculator on their website that you can fill out your student's basic information and it'll estimate what their price tag would be. So it's important to know that what you see on the sites is not always what you're going to pay. And whatever FAFSA gives your family for that year, it can still result in completely different financial aid offers at different schools. Now, no matter what the situation is, we always want to make sure our student is applying for outside scholarships. And so I do have a free webinar. It's 1 hour long where I cover exactly how I got 6 figures in scholarships, how our families have gotten over $13 million in scholarships, and how you guys can too. So if you go to the scholarshipsystem.com/free webinar, open that up on a separate tab, go back to it after this video, but check out that free training. It'll get you guys started on those private scholarships. Now, next, we do want to look at academic programs. Ensuring that they have what your child even wants to major in will decrease the chances of them having to transfer later, and of course, improve their chances of getting jobs or career offers after college. You want to look into their qualifications in the area. What kind of resources do they have in that department? Maybe do they have an honors program or research opportunities if your student's interested in that? And if a student is having a hard time finding their program, they may be able to find it at a neighboring state. And if it's truly not offered within your state, they might be able to get a reciprocity agreement. This is where if your student's major is not offered in their state, they can get in-state tuition out of state. So this is a whole nother video, but I just wanted to mention that. Then of course we want to look at location. So do we want urban, suburban, rural? How comfortable are we with distance from home? How easily do we want our student to be able to travel back and forth? What's the climate like? I'll never forget one of our good friends that are from Texas. He went to school in Chicago, and I will let you know that he only made it 1 year. He was not cut out for that weather. He thought he could handle it, but it was a different beast once he actually got there. Another factor could be campus culture and size. And this, I think, is something that we should tour and see, because a lot of students, I think, make assumptions here, and when they get there, they're actually pleasantly surprised. For example, there are big universities that have ways to make it feel smaller. Maybe they just need to find an organization at the big school. Or there are smaller universities and a student realizes, oh my gosh, I really wish that we had more opportunity, or I wish that we had a football scene or something like that. So this is something that we definitely want to consider. Also, diversity, inclusion efforts. What kind of extracurriculars will we be looking for? So college tours are a great way to get a feel for this. A next factor might be reputation and rankings. And I would not get too hung up on this, especially if it's the difference between getting a free ride and having to pay on decades of debt, especially say we have to have another degree. Master's degrees matter way more when it comes to name brand and university alumni. However, if we can find a program that is ranked well in our field and our student is competitive and can get into it, then great. But we don't necessarily need to make or break a school because of it. Now, one area with rates, though, that we do want to consider strongly is graduation rates, as well as employment outcomes and alumni success. So, of course, ultimately, the goal of college is to get your student a job, a career, and get an ROI on this degree. So if their graduation rate is at the bottom of the list, then that's not a good sign. Going off of that, another thing to consider is internships and job placement stats. So do they have a student success center or a kind of co-op arrangement? Do they have an alumni network that your student will be able to access? Again, this is the goal of going to college. It's what can we get beyond college? What kind of career will we be able to secure, and how will they help us do that? Now, speaking of how will they help us, another factor might be support services. So maybe your student needs extra support, maybe mental health resources, maybe for disabilities, maybe they're first generation. What kind of services do they have there? But also just regular advising, tutoring, career counseling services. These days, most universities do a great job here, but this is still something that you'll want to look into and ask about and discuss with your student and see what's important to them. Now, if your student does have learning disabilities, we actually recently released a YouTube video all about 5 top colleges for students with learning disabilities. You can check that out here. We will also link to it along with every other free resource I mentioned in the description below. All right, just a few more factors that we recommend. One is campus safety. So what are their crime statistics, the crime rate in the area? What kind of safety measures do they have? For example, my university had kind of safety poles every so many feet all throughout the campus so that if something was happening, you could just run to it, push it, and it sounded an alarm and notified the police. So what kind of security do they have, or emergency responses? And of course, what's the surrounding community like? We also want to consider the housing facilities. What kind of dorms? What kind of state are they in? Do we have roommates? Do we not? Is there enough housing for your student? This is a big issue at a lot of schools that are in cities. Will your student need a car? Will they not? If they move off campus, what kind of opportunities are there? Then we also want to look into extracurricular opportunities. So I think one of the biggest benefits of college is actually what students do outside of the classroom, the friends they can make, the lessons they can learn, the experiences they can have. This also ties into the scholarships they can get. But a lot of students receive a list of organizations at orientation, but you can also usually look this up ahead of time. Maybe they want intramural sports or varsity sports leagues, community service, leadership, cultural activities, lots of opportunities that are available at most colleges. And lastly, and this might be important to you as a parent, what is the parent and family involvement like? Do they have a weekend where parents can come in? What kind of access will you have to your student? Maybe your student doesn't want you necessarily to be there all the time. That's fine too, but a lot of schools have parent organizations that you can join and just kind of stay in the loop or stay involved a little bit. At this point, your student is considered an adult, so I don't think you're necessarily entitled to anything, but at least you can find out what kind of support or what kind of opportunities they do offer. Now, comment below, what is number one for your student when it comes to choosing a school? What are they considering and what is important to them? I'd love to see. Is there anything that I didn't mention? So choosing a right school, really, it can make or break the bank. It can make or break the graduation chances. It can make or break their likelihood of getting a career beyond college. So this is a very important decision. In fact, in Debt Free Degree Lab, in our sister program, we have a whole lesson all about finding the financial fit, but also finding that personal fit for colleges because it is so important. You can learn more about that program at thescholarshipsystem.com/join-the-lab. And again, don't forget that free training where I cover how to get scholarships because that financial fit is, in my opinion, the most important aspect of this search. All right, I will see you in the next video.